It's news time on QTV. We take a look at stories making headlines. The Vice President in Ongawina says it is not true that the £2.7 million government recently paid back to the UK government was initially stolen. Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya says investigations into the theft of drugs worth $1 million at medical stores have advanced. And the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, has predicted a rise in the cost of living in the country in October 2018. And now the news in detail. Vice President in Ongawina says it is not true that the £2.7 million government recently paid back to the UK was initially stolen. Ms. Wina has argued that there is no way money which was stolen can again find itself in a bank account. She says it just happened that the person who raised the alarm that the money meant for the social cash transfer program was misappropriated did not realize that it was still in the bank account. Ms. Wina says members of parliament are at liberty to approach the bank and find out when the money was deposited in the account. And the Vice President says investigations into the mismanagement of the social cash transfer fund are still ongoing. She says that the House will be informed of what transpired once the investigations have been concluded. Ms. Wina was responding to a question by Mazabuka Member of Parliament, Garen Kombo, during the Vice President's question time in Parliament.
When will you come, Madam Vice President, to this House to update the country about the stolen money which was mysteriously found and purportedly have been paid back to DFID? When will you come to give us an update so that we can settle this matter once and for all?
Honourable Vice President, Madam Speaker, there is no way money can be stolen and be found in the bank the following day. It just so happened that the person who raised the alarm did not realize that the money that was misappropriated, the money that was misplaced, the money which was mismanaged was not the money from DFID. If members of Parliament wish to know, they can approach the bank where the money was deposited. Obtain information as to when that money was deposited in that account. Making statements on speculation, Madam Speaker, that will not really help the matter of the situation. And the case is still under investigation. So when the results, the final results are known, then the members will know what actually transpires.
Meanwhile, Ms. Wina says government has banned the export of maize. She says the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, is still in the market to buy the grain for strategic reserves. On last week's University of Zambia riot, Ms. Wina told the House that investigations are still ongoing. An abnormal load truck got stuck at Kafue Bridge in Kafue District, blocking both south and northbound traffic on the road. The South African registered truck, which is carrying huge mining equipment, covered both sides of the road on the bridge. The equipment is believed to be heading to Lumwana mines. The truck was only removed from the road after district officials in Kafue, led by District Commissioner Joseph Kamana, summoned cranes from Nitrogen Chemicals of Zambia and other stakeholders. Minister Kamana has told QTV News that the traffic on the road is now flowing normally. Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya says investigations into the theft of drugs and medical supplies worth about $1 million at the medical stores have reached an advanced stage. Dr. Chilufya says the ministry will ensure that it gets to the bottom of the matter, adding that there will be no sacred cows. He adds that the ministry has put in place various security measures such as the setting up of the whistleblower policy to stop such from happening again. Dr. Chilufya has since assured cooperating partners of prudent utilization of the resources given to the health sector. The minister said this after he conducted a site tour at the new central warehouse at Medical Stores Limited. Meanwhile, Dr. Chilufya is happy with the progress of works on the expansion and upgrading of the new central warehouse at the Medical Stores Limited. He states that the partnership with the European Union, who are funding the project, is a commendable milestone in enhancing health services in the country.
I want to assure you that Zambia is going to forge stronger partnership with the European Union, and we are investing heavily in governance, in leadership and accountability. All our institutions, including medical stores, have integrity committees, and we have put up policies that ensure that we do not have any leaks in our resources or any wastage. We want to assure the partners and we want to assure the European Union that we will be prudent and accountable in the utilization of resources. We've set up a whistleblower policy as part of our security measures here. Further, we have escalated investigations into what happened with the drugs in the previous allocation of the Global Fund, and I want to assure you that investigations are advanced and anybody found wanting will face the law, and there shall be no sacred cows. Your Excellency, today I would like to crowd this event with many words. Safe to say that the health system strengthening agenda is firmly on track. We have developed human capital that is being distributed countrywide. We targeted recruitment of 30,000 health workers in 5 years. In year 2, we've already included 16,000. We're firmly on track. We've seen the progress with your support in terms of the supply chain. We have seen that even in improving domestic financing for our health systems, we've introduced the National Health Insurance Act number 2 of 2018 that effectively increases the coverage of health insurance from 4% to nearly 100%.
Speaking earlier, European Union Ambassador to Zambia, Alessandro Mariani, expressed confidence that the 4.8 million euros project will be completed by January 2019, according to the schedule. Ambassador Mariani has further expressed hope that the project will enhance the Ministry of Health's capacity in the provision and storage of drugs and medical supplies.
The other thing which I want to say is that it's also important to see that a physical infrastructure like this is matched with the number of reforms that the ministry has been undertaking, and this is very important because the dividends that can be extracted from an investment like this multiply the more the reforms are really implemented. Therefore, we want, on one end, to congratulate the ministry and MSL for the reforms already made and encourage them to continue on this pattern of reforms. If I may say, things which are of course important is good governance in the management of drugs, maintenance and funding strategies, and always to maintain, a program to enhance the capacity and the skills of staff. The other thing.
Political scientist Dr. Alex Ngoma believes the church mother bodies are the ones holding back the dialogue process from taking place. Dr. Ngoma has since advised the church mother bodies to abandon their current roadmap for holding the national dialogue process and go back to the original roadmap. He says the national dialogue can only take off if the church mother bodies follow the roadmap that was agreed upon by various stakeholders and approved by Party Secretary Generals in Siavonga. He states that the delay in holding the national dialogue has sustained political polarization in the country arising from the 2016 general elections. Dr. Ngoma states that the country is still in a state of tension. In an interview with QTV News, Dr. Ngoma says that this is evidenced by how the main political parties, the ruling PF and the opposition UPND, are not able to talk face to face. Dr. Ngoma adds that this is what is also creating so much anxiety in the country.
The status quo has still been maintained, that we have still remained in this state of tension, a state of political polarization, where up to now the main leading opposition political party, the UPND, cannot see things eye to eye with the government and vice versa. That is creating and generating a lot of uncertainty. So the status quo has actually remained the same because of the failure by the parties concerned to hold the national stakeholders dialogue.
So what would you propose at this end be a solution that we could have this?
The way forward is, number one, for the church to abandon the second roadmap that it has come up with and to go back to the original roadmap that was agreed upon by the stakeholders at the National Stakeholders Summit, which was even approved by the Secretary Generals of political parties in Siabonga. If the church can do that, the dialogue process will take off. It is actually the church that is delaying everything. The status.
Still in our news, our Education Minister, Professor Nkandiluwo, has clarified that student unions' activities have not been banned, but rather there is a transitioning of the structures of leadership to a GAUT type of leadership. A GAUT is an association of people with similar interests or pursuits. Speaking during a media briefing, Professor Luo says higher learning institutions will be moving away from the union type of leadership to a GAUT type of leadership because this type of leadership is more inclusive and able to address more issues that affect the students. Professor Luo says the students are aware of this transitioning of leadership and have been having workshops to discuss about the GAUT leadership. She has dismissed the notion that if there are student unions in higher learning institutions, riots would not occur, stating that riots have taken place in these institutions even with unions in place. Professor Luo has reiterated that the riot that occurred at the University of Zambia was uncalled for because the students were not owed any meal allowances. She says the students had already started receiving their meal allowances at the time of the riot on the 4th of October and that their last day of payment was Saturday, October 6th. The minister says that there is need for a students' leadership that will add value and talk about issues that affect students, mostly to do with academic and not just focus on meal allowances.
There were reports that we had banned union activities in the universities. And many times I've tried to clarify this, that the union activities were not banned. What happened is that we moved away from the structure that was there of leadership to a leadership mode that is called guild. G-U-I-L-D. Now, this guild leadership has been student-led. The students themselves went and interrogated what guild was about and compared it with the concept of unionism. And they went through a lot of their own consultations, and they were satisfied that maybe this is a better way of leading ourselves in the university. Because when you come to the ministry here, the staff will pull out the payment schedules and they would have showed you. In fact, you would have helped us as press to show the public that in fact this ministry did not owe them allowances. They were paid allowances. The riot was Thursday. The last day of their payment was Saturday.
There have been calls from stakeholders for the minister to reinstate student union activities in the higher learning institutions. Civil Society Constitutional Agenda Siska Board Chairperson Bishop John Mambo has described the government's decision to institute investigations into the recent University of Zambia riot as a sheer waste of time. Bishop Mambo says it is a mockery for government through the Zambia Police Service to institute investigations when the police officers involved are known. He adds that the investigation is a waste of time considering that government has never published any reports from investigations it has instituted on that nature. Bishop Mambo has told QTV News that the police should simply arrest the officers who were involved in the Unza fracas, which led to the death of a fourth-year student, Vespas Shimonzila.
We have to condemn the killing and mourn with the family in the strongest possible term. It should not happen, especially under the ministry where the minister, my own sister-in-law, Professor Nkandru, she's a professor herself. She knows the reaction of the student. Of course, Russia, Zambia, worldwide, it becomes the same. So the way it was done, and it's not the first time. Now you're talking about constituting the commission of inquiry. What is it going to deliver? What have we so far gotten as the result of the commission constituted for the violence that took place during the last election? Have you ever read the Gabon disaster? And I can talk of too many. Once they're out, we are in a country where it's dictatorship. From previous up to now, reports of investigation, inquiry, is a matter of us Zambian allowing stipend or allowances, or where there's money, we can never say, Your Excellency, this is an academic exercise, we are wasting our time. It is very, very sad for Zambia, and like I'm saying, I cannot stand anywhere and say I'm a believer and happen to have lost my mouth. So I'm simply saying, those who had lost their mouth, who had said we cannot talk because the government and all that. Moreover, I think we are misdirecting ourselves here. Let us bring up back the true theology. We have.
The Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCDR, has predicted an upwards rise in the cost of living in the country for October 2018. In a statement, JCTR Social and Economic Development Program Officer Chanda Pochleshe says local producers are expected to increase commodity prices as they try to cushion themselves against increased cost of production instigated by increased fuel prices, and in the process the consumer will pay the brunt of the fuel hike. Mr. Chanda says the center expects the adjusted fuel prices to negatively impact the prices of essential goods and services such as food, water, sanitation, electricity, healthcare, and housing. He says that the JCTR is therefore urging government to locally accelerate the process of exploring the production of oil, as this will increase supply of oil and henceforth reduce for fuel prices. He notes that reduced fuel rates would cushion Zambia from the high cost of living due to the impact that fuel is a major determinant. Mr. Chanda says that the JCTR is further urging the government to enhance transparency when procuring petroleum feedstock in accordance with the provision of the Zambia Public Procurement Authority. He adds that the center further calls for the enhancement and strengthening of Indeni petroleum refineries' financial structures to allow for efficient purchase of petroleum. President Edgar Lungu has commended MultiChoice for showing commitment towards interpreting the national fuel policy. In a speech read on his behalf by Information and Broadcasting Services Minister Doris Leah at the launch of the MultiChoice Talent Factory Academy for the Southern Africa region in Lusaka, President Edgar Lungu says the government is elated when organizations work towards the empowerment of its citizens, like MultiChoice has committed to do with the film industry. President Lungu says the Talent Factory will see the development of emerging television and film talent, as well as the growth of local content in key markets through the program. He says the government is elated with works being seen in the television and film industry in the past few years.
For us in government are always looking for taxes to develop the country. We want these to be millionaires so we can tax them. In this sector, it's possible to become a millionaire overnight. And we as government, we know that this is a hanging fruit. And with my colleagues, the other ministers, we are saying that we have to ensure that we educate even our colleagues in government, to understand that jobs, real jobs and wealth can be created from the film industry. And that there are actually other benefits around the film industry. On location, when you're making a movie, there'll be need for food supply, there'll be need for accommodation, for transport, for the clothing industry, the costumes. I must say, you look really wonderful. For all these costumes. So there's a lot of opportunities for our young people. And we in government must begin to really put our money where it really matters. And I believe that thinking outside the box means that new jobs must be created. We cannot just go to universities to be professors in microbiology or to be doctors or to be engineers. No. I think some of us have to go to school because we want to get rich quickly in the right way. And that is the film industry. My route.
And multi-choice regional director for Southern Africa, Nico Shiburi, commended government for the support it has continued to render to multi-choice Zambia. Mr. Shiburi has reaffirmed his company's commitment to continue being an active player in the television subsector and support government's efforts to grow the film industry and implement the film policy. Speaking earlier, Multi-Choice Talent Factory Academy Director Berry Lwando says the Southern Region Multi-Choice Talent Factory Academy will bring the best of creative ability from 20 young men and women picked from the Southern African countries, which include Angola, Namibia, and Zambia, among others. And Zamcom Director Charles Mubanga is confident that the Southern Region Multi-Choice Talent Factory Academy will set a yardstick for the whole continent. The Multi-Choice Talent Factory is an Africa-wide multi-tiered educational and experiential learning program by Multi-Choice Africa, designed to provide the African creative industry with a platform to learn, develop their talent, engage and connect with each other through their shared passions. Minister of Transport and Communications, Brian Mushimba, has attributed the delay in reviewing the country's highway code to government bureaucratic processes. Mr. Mushimba says government, through his ministry and that of Justice, wants to come up with a document that is acceptable to all road users. In an interview with QTV News, Mr. Mushimba says the process of reviewing the highway code is therefore exhaustive and consultative. Mr. Mushimba says that the process includes stakeholders' engagements.
Sure that when we finish the processes and obviously the stakeholder engagements that have to happen, when we finish a product that is consultative, exhaustive, and many views were taken into account. Sure that
you're still watching QTV News. The Bankers Association of Zambia BAS has warned that any meltdown in the global economy is likely to have a huge impact on the Zambian economy. Association Chief Executive Officer Leonard Mwanza says while the country was able to navigate through the 2008 global financial crisis, Zambia is currently in a precarious position to withstand such a crisis. Mr. Mwanza says that this is because the country is presently highly dependent on what is happening in the global economy. In an interview with QTV News, Mr. Mwanza says, for example, Zambia has seen directly hit by the rising prices of crude oil on the international market. He says the BSZ therefore foresees this increased price in crude, which has already resulted in the increase in fuel pump price, to feed into the country's inflation and affect the kwacha. Mr. Mwanza states that if the price of copper equally start going down as a result of a global financial crisis, there will definitely be a direct correlation in terms of Zambia's ability to sustain its economy, as there will be some headwinds linked to this problem.
So if we get into that fix where the demand on copper gets subdued, the prices of copper start coming down, there will definitely be some direct correlation in terms of our ability to sustain our economy. So probably there could be some headwinds linked to that. And if you've noticed right now, we have been directly hit by the rising the crude oil prices. We're a net importer of oil as well as a number of capital goods. So if you notice, because of the increase in the crude oil prices, the price of fuel on the market has been increased, and that will feed into inflation, and also it's affecting the kwacha. I think you'll notice that the kwacha has been under some serious pressure. There's been a lot more demand than what supply can offer on the market. So when you put those things together, you can only say there could be heightened risk that our economy could be affected arising from a potential global meltdown, but we hope that we'll remain as resilient as we were before. But obviously, being an economy highly dependent on what's happening on the global market, there are always such risks that could be hovering on the silver line. So if we...
The Grain Traders Association of Zambia, GTZ, says the decision by the government to ban the export of maize and maize products has messed up the business of grain traders in the country. GTZ Executive Director Jambleni Swinga says a good number of grain traders have actually stopped buying the grain from the market. Mr. Swinga says this is because they cannot sell the grain anywhere in view of the ban on the export of maize and maize products by the government. In an interview with QTV News by telephone, Mr. Swinga says that this also explains why the price of maize has begun to drop in the country. He, however, states that GTZ does not think that the country should have such a situation where government is failing to be consistent in sustaining an open border policy. He says his association finds it very annoying that government has continued to backpedal on its pronouncement to maintain an open border policy for the export of maize. Mr. Swinga says the association is wondering why government can impose a ban on maize export when the country has excess maize and meal. He says that the imposition of this ban was an unnecessary act of excitement by technocrats in government who think the Food Reserve Agency FRA may not be able to meet its strategic reserve buying targets.
Because you cannot have a situation the way it is. You say it's open border policy, you wake up the next day, took the Zambia National Service on the road. What are you doing to invest? How many times are we going to talk about the same thing? Same thing with the same government. I don't think it's government actually. It's the people. It's the technocrats, some technocrats, and I don't know, some quite political officers. Very annoying, huh? Very annoying. About 4 of my friends have closed. They've just forgotten what they bought and closed shop. I say we can't go on like this. The maize that was at 2,100 now crashed to 1,700. Why? No one is buying. No one wants it. There's no use for it. Even if you buy that maize at 1,500, you will not mill it. Even if you mill it, where are you going to take it? We have plenty maize in Zambia. We have plenty milling in Zambia. Plenty of it. We have excess. Why stop the export? Even the maize, there's plenty maize. FRA, if they can pay, they will buy the quantities they need to buy. It's just that we always get excited on a small thing, which is not necessary. Yeah, I'm not impressed anyway. It cost me when I'm not there.
The Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure Development says there is still need for local contractors in the construction sector to sharpen their skills and improve on service delivery. Permanent Secretary Charles Mushota says his ministry has observed that local contractors are failing to participate in the infrastructure projects owing to their inability to deliver the required quality of works. He has told QTV News that local contractors should realize that people in the country actually prefer foreign contractors to work on the road projects as they are assured of quality works. Mr. Mushota, however, states that his ministry is pleased that government has allocated funds towards capacity building for local contractors in the 2019 national budget. He says with such budgetary allocation, his hope is that there will be growth among local contractors.
Indeed, upgrading themselves so that they are able to sharpen their skills so that there is quality service delivery. Time and again, even our own Zambian people, they prefer that foreign contractors participate in the construction projects because they are assured of quality. But with what has been demonstrated in this budget, it means we are going to see the growth in the local contractors by them participating in various skills. Indeed,
the University of Zambia UNZA Acting Vice Chancellor Dr. Joy Kamwanga has disclosed that the university plans to expand its fish production on a piece of land located in Chiengi district of Luapula province. Speaking at the launch of the fish harvest ceremony at the University School of Agriculture, Dr. Kamwanga says the construction of the pond in Chiengi is in line with plans to scale up the aquaculture program which the School of Agriculture is offering. Chileshe attended the event and brought us this report.
In an effort to ensure that aquaculture students gain practical knowledge from within the institution, the University of Zambia School of Agriculture embarked on aquaculture production from here. On Friday, 12 September 2018, the school conducted the first fish harvest at its ponds. Speaking at the launch of the fish harvest ceremony, Ministry of Higher Education Acting Director for Science, Chongolo Konde, hailed the university for remaining relevant in the field of research.
However, we expect more from this university. We want it to remain leaders in teaching, research, and public service.
Meanwhile, Minister of Livestock Acting Director for Fisheries, Patrick Lungu, observed that there's a lot that needs to be achieved in regards to aquaculture production, such as production of fingerlings.
If you're going to do research, we definitely need a number of small concrete ponds, because then you do research much better than in the earthen pond. There's a lot of work that is required to be done in aquaculture. We have the genetics, which needs to be done. We are at a point where maybe poultry was in the 80s. So all those things that we did with poultry, we can still redo them with fish at the moment.
And University of Zambia Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor Dr. Joy Kamwanga says the university has some positive developments to its name apart from the negative connotation society has decided to associate the institution with.
I think there are things that we are doing as a university, but for some reason, when we read the papers, what we get is negative publicity about UNZA. And maybe this is a challenge to us that we should take opportunities such as this to portray the positive image of UNZA, okay, other than the negative that tends to be ingrained in people's minds when they think about UNZA. All they think about is students running to stone vehicles at the greatest road.
And after the ceremony, it was time for the institution to enjoy its labor as scores of people jostled to have a taste of the produce. Currently, Zambia has a fish deficit of about 87,000 metric tons. Therefore, efforts such as these should be commended and supported. Chileshe Mwango reporting for QTV News.
The Socialist Party has condemned the arrest of Zimbabwe trade union leaders, labor leaders, and scores of activists nationwide on Thursday ahead of planned marches over the country's worsening economic crisis. Party General Secretary Dr. Cosmas Musmali says Zimbabwe and Zambia are historically, economically, politically, culturally intertwined. Thus, the dangerous development in that country is of great concern to Zambia. Dr. Musmali has alleged that the arrest of targeted leaders of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions in Harare, Bulawayo, is being planned. He has told journalists in Lusaka that his party is concerned how the Zimbabwe Republican Police arrested the ZCTU president, Peter Mutasa, and 35 others for allegedly intending to take part in the countrywide demonstration against the government's 2% tax on electronic transfers and rising poverty levels.
Protests. Those that were arrested in Zimbabwe are, as of midday, appearing before the court. We hope they are going to be bailed out and their lives can be spared and that their physical security is not compromised. This is disturbing because whatever goes on in Zimbabwe is normally a mirror reflection of what's going to happen in Zambia. So we want the immediate and unconditional release of our comrades from the union, and we want a guarantee of their physical safety and well-being. Further, The government must stop using the cholera outbreak as a justification to quell poverty-inspired dissent among the people, and stopping the demonstrations of people that are serving or that are undergoing difficulties is political and wise. The workers in Zimbabwe need a valve, and demonstrations are part of that. They need to talk, they need to narrate the difficulties that they are facing. And it doesn't make political sense to stop those demonstrations. It's also unconstitutional because they made all the stipulations of holding these demonstrations, but then they were banned and arrested as if they were a bunch of criminals. To the Zambian trade union leadership, this is your opportunity and time to extend solidarity to the arrested Zimbabwean comrades' protests.
And finally, in the news, the Professional Insurance Corporation has launched an insurance product called ProSure Mechanical Failure Insurance Policy aimed at raising the roadworthiness of vehicles on the Zambian roads. The policy will initially cater for private motor vehicles, will also cover clients against unexpected mechanical breakdowns or electrical failure of motor vehicles. Speaking during the launch in Lusaka, Professional Insurance Corporation's Managing Director Moses Siame says that the project is a reflection of the constant feedback they receive from their clients. Mr. Siame says that they have brought on board TalkTake for the new insurance product because they have had an advanced car maintenance workshop which has state-of-the-art equipment on the market.
So we have taken the feedback seriously from our customers, and we've now come up with a specific product that we'll be launching this morning to address the needs for cover for mechanical and electrical failure. Guests of honor, sir, besides the fact that the ProSure policy, which we are launching this morning, helps to address the concerns of many of the motoring public that have been raising, the motoring public have been raising in this regard. The comprehensive cover and the ProSure that we are launching will help in raising the roadworthiness of the vehicles on the Zambian roads. What is a ProSure mechanical failure insurance policy? Guests of honor and invited guests, the policy we are launching this morning essentially covers the clients against unexpected mechanical breakdowns and electrical failure on their motor vehicles. This policy will be offered to private motor vehicle owners for now. The major vehicle components that are covered under this policy include the engine, of course, the gearbox, the differential, the deflock, transfer box, mechanic management system, which some people call the computer box, casings, electronic ignitions, air conditioning, cooling and braking system, oil and consumables, just to mention a few.
And officiating at the launch, Road Transport and Safety Agency Deputy Director Roger Sankandu has commended Professional Insurance Corporation Zambia for launching the new policy, saying it will go a long way in supplementing RTSA's effort to reduce road traffic accidents caused by mechanical and electronic failure. Mr. Sankandu says RTSA regards insurance companies as key partners in mitigating the after effects of road traffic accidents.
Therefore, we would like to commend Professional Insurance for this innovation. This speaks into enhancing the aspect of keeping the vehicle in roadworthy condition, which I earlier alluded to. The Managing Director earlier indicated that the product being launched today has been tailored for private vehicle owners for now. I would like to take this opportunity to appeal to your company to extend this product to the commercial vehicle owners, both passenger and goods carrying transporters. This will supplement the efforts of RTSA in ensuring vehicles are roadworthy at all times, and therefore help in reducing road traffic accidents caused by mechanical and electrical failure. We are also glad to know that you have partnered with worthy garages like TalkTech to carry out inspections over and above the road fitness tests carried out from our end. This is a welcome move. Managing Director, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I end my remarks, allow me to encourage all insurance players to see how we can partner together with the Road Transport and Safety Agency, even for consumer education activities on road safety, so that the public is kept aware and kept safe from road carnage that can be avoided. Therefore,
that's all we had for you in our news today. From me, Nelson Zulu, and the whole entire news crew, and of course the production crew, it's bye-bye.